Resident Evil 2 is full of hideous creatures. From lickers to the Nemesis, Capcom have birthed some of horror's most memorable monsters. But this list isn't about those creeps. This is a look at the ones you might have forgotten about. And each one is weirder and more disgusting than the last, so you're going to want to keep watching to the end. But before we begin, the T-virus I'm unfortunately infected with is telling me to tell you to subscribe to the channel and click that little alert bell to get more videos like this one as soon as they're out. Right, now let's dial up the horror.
Let's start with the Centurion from Resident Evil 0. Everyone always bangs on about Nemesis and Mr. X and all of that, but I say rubbish. They've only got 2 legs. Look at this thing. It's got like 100 times more legs. Just don't be misled by the fact that it looks like it's using them to give you a big, loving hug. This giant centipede has nothing but hatred for you and everything you stand for, and it's only embracing you to bring you closer to its mouth. This is not really behavior exhibited by centipedes in the wild, but when you're 20 feet long, you can do whatever the hell you want. Although it's one of Resi's creepiest looking enemies, the Centurion isn't really that hard to kill. Firing wildly with your shotgun should do the trick, but we'll just try to forget about the fact that it's holding your partner as a human shield. I mean, that's not exactly safe shooting, is it? Forget the massive garden bug, I think it's the dude with the shotgun who needs stopping. He's gonna hurt someone.
The cool thing about the creatures in Resident Evil Revelations is that, since the game takes place on a cruise liner, all the enemies have this sea theme going on. Just take the Scarmiglione, which looks like a shark crossed with some kind of medieval knight. But it's Revelations' Scagdead that stands out due to its utterly tragic origin story. The result of an unlucky mutation that happens to roughly 1 in 1,000 people infected by the T-virus, the human hanging out the side of the Scagdead is unfortunately still alive. Presumably, it's not too happy about the huge jaw that it now shares a body with. This human bit says things like, "I'm a human!" indicating that he's aware of what's happening but is powerless to stop it, which for me is way scarier than transforming into a random brainless monster. You almost feel sorry for it when it's telling you to flee the area or to please stop hitting it, because not many Resi monsters give you the same courtesy. But you won't feel sorry enough to actually stop hitting it, or at least I didn't. Hey, the way I see it, if your arm's mutated into a buzzsaw and you launch your projectiles at me from your head hole, I'm gonna fight back, alright? You're not gonna make me feel sorry for you, Scagdead. Okay, I feel a bit sorry for you, but only a bit.
On to Resident Evil 4 now, and when you think about its scariest and most iconic enemies, you inevitably think of Dr. Salvador, aka the Chainsaw Man. I'm not sure how he got his doctorate though, I don't believe he ever went to medical school, but there's an even scarier enemy than Salvador, and that's the red giant Chainsaw Man, who only appears in Stage 4 of Resi 4's minigame, The Mercenaries. He's like Chainsaw Man, but he's got 2 chainsaws, and they're chained together. That means he's doubly scary. That's just simple maths, really. Also, he's bloody massive, making the normal Chainsaw Man look like a child in comparison. A very dangerous child, of course, who could perhaps be the protagonist in an R-rated Home Alone reboot.
I said I'm not afraid anymore!
Tyrants are hideous super soldiers created by the Umbrella Corporation, and they're a common sight in most Resi games. But for some reason, Capcom decided these monsters simply weren't mean enough, and so introduced us all to an even scarier version in 2012's Operation Raccoon City. The Parasite Super Tyrant is so named because it's what happens when a spider-like creepy crawly called a Nemesis Beta infects a Tyrant. Here you can see it burrowing into a specimen and giving it the gift of massive claws. Just the birthday present every Tyrant hopes for. The Nemesis Beta can infect practically anything and boost its powers, but if there's one thing you really don't want being more powerful, it's a Tyrant. They were henching off already in my opinion, like a tombstone in an overcoat, but this thing looks like a pro wrestler giving a lobster a piggyback. Naturally it makes for a tough boss battle, but probably not as tough as it was for the Tyrant when it realised it lost its signature leather jacket. That was a good look.
The bioweapon U8 shows up around halfway through Resident Evil 5 and can be best described as a giant Alaskan crab. Think the kind of thing you see on Deadliest Catch, but like 100 times deadlier. And here it is actually trying to catch you. Oh, how the tables have turned. It drops down onto the circular elevator you and your partner Shiva Alamar are on and attacks by swiping at you with its armor-plated legs, which you have to shoot at in turn to stabilize it. Where's a big net when you need one, eh? As we've already covered, anything with more than 2 legs is automatically creepy, but U8 gets even creepier, because after you shoot its legs, its mouth swings open to reveal a set of horribly sticky jaws, which you have to chuck a grenade in. And after that, its skull blows open and its red brain starts pulsating. It really is a pretty horrible enemy to look at, and that's without even mentioning the way it regularly hatches a swarm of mosquitoes from its backside. Oh man, this thing would have fetched a fortune on the Alaskan crab market. What a waste.
This disturbing creature from Resident Evil 6 is called Lepotisa, a name which roughly translates to pretty woman in Serbian, which is a good joke because she's absolutely horrific. Lepotisa has a bunch of pores all over her body that release a gas which turns anyone nearby into a zombie. This gas allegedly can travel up to 3 miles, which means you'll want to give her a wide berth when on public transportation together. Now, Lepotisa looks like she's smiling, but Capcom's official art book for the game explains that this is actually due to the virus pulling on her facial muscles. So actually it's in quite staggering pain. To add to that incredibly off-putting effect, its breathing noises sound like laughter. But yeah, that'll be the staggering pain again. There is naturally only one cure for this virus. Yes, a roundhouse kick to the face.
You'll not have encountered the Swamp Man if you only stuck to Resident Evil 7's main campaign. This awful creature exists only in the DLC End of Zoe, and now in your nightmares. As the name suggests, it lives in the swamp surrounding the Baker family estate, proving once and for all that fetid swamp water is really very bad for the skin. In fact, it seems to make your skin fall off completely. This thing looks like Cthulhu in a ghillie suit. At one point it throws you in a coffin, and to be honest, if the main character was me, I'd probably just stay there and float off. Safe from the knowledge that I'd never have to look at this dude's pesto spaghetti face ever again. But in End of Zoe, you play as not me, but Joe. He's ventured off into the swamp to rescue Zoe, who's been calcified by everyone's favourite evil child magician, Evelyn. It's all pretty far-fetched and culminates in you using a bionic arm to punch Swamp Man's eyes straight out of his head. That's swamp business, kid.
So there we go, 7 nightmarish creatures from Resident Evil that don't get the fear they clearly deserve. Hopefully there were 1 or 2 monsters in this video that were completely new to you guys. Every day is a learning experience with PCGamesN, so why not check out our other list features for more fun gaming facts. Oh, and while you're here, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and please hit that alert bell to stay up to date with everything we do. See ya.